Hello everyone, this is one of our first raid commentaries of the new raids in Amazon Fury Part 2, which is right now on test. This is the commentary for Labyrinth of Lost Souls, and as the name already basically implies, it's about a huge maze you're going through to go deeper into the underground to reach Aris, and it's story-wise right after one of those foreman operations, which ends at the portal of the underworld, I think so. Yeah. So, however, this is not the whole raid. This is just the boss fights, the three, and we want to give you a little bit stuff to figure out, especially what's between, because the maze is lots of those little rooms. This is also one of them, just with a boss, but there's lots of little rooms, and each of those rooms has a different mechanic that you need to figure out to progress. And yeah, each of those rooms, when finished, you get choices where you can go left or right. So you probably, in the worst case scenario, which happens to us, you can run in a circle over and over, and so it's good for your group to actually make notes where you've gone, because when you wipe on a boss, like the second boss for example, where you deeper progressed into the raid, you start all over from the start, and you need to remember where you went through the maze to reach the point where you're right now in the raid, like the second boss in this case. And it's not like only 2-3 rooms, we're talking about 6, 7, 8 rooms. Lots of options where to go through, and every time you do that raid, it's different. So it's not the same. So yeah, it's a bit reminds me of the Tunnel of Lust duo from the Sons of Dragon DLC, just as a raid, but way more cooler than obviously the duo. You will see that after this boss fight, which is by the way just pure tank and spank. It just seems to hit so hard, but the boss fight itself is, the first is really easy. There's really nothing specific, and when the boss dies, you will see there opens up the console in front. It's on the right side of the boss, and that opens up the portals to the left and to the right, and also a portal that you can move back. The gear that dropped here was item level 98 gear, and yeah, that back style and the other styles that dropped were divine. And here is the map. This is the raid. Looks pretty cool, doesn't it? So when you figure out a way, you reach the second boss eventually, and this is a bit more trickier than the first. It's not, well, it's technically tank and spank with group positioning, because it's not good for you to stay outside in the area. You see those little holes all around. You will see in a few seconds what's happening with them. There you go. You see those spikes coming then coming up, and if you're there, you get pushed around and get damaged and yeah, die. And if you die in there, the chances to get rest are slim to 0. I think more like 0, because I tried, you will see that later, I tried to rest someone in it and it was not possible because it pushed me around. So besides this simple mechanic, you also get these kind of soul shivers. He tries to zoom them or something, there is a feat attached to it, which is basically to avoid him to get those soul shivers, which luckily will happen. And yeah, so the boss itself is also not hard. It's really the easiest raid of them. So it's really bug friendly. It's just about to remind where you went through the maze and to remind which combination did you went through the left portal to the right portal. You really need to remind that. And as you can see on the right side, there's this collection. Collection will spawn in the content. Yeah, so it's similar to Hordes of Power with the collection. It will be a fight over the collection stuff, which I personally don't like, but yeah. I'd really rather have it somewhere in the outside in the world and farm it there. But yeah, anyway, so what you see here, by the way, is the new Quantum AM Advanced Mechanic. Yeah, it's Advanced Mechanic, which is also part right now on the test. It's part of Game Update 44, which is on test. And yeah, first impression is it plays like Gadgets and Mental, but a little bit more like the opposite effect. So here you see, I'm trying to rest a person. I'm getting pushed all the way, getting pushed. There's no way we can rest the person, as you can see. And even the other troller just died there by trying to res. So yeah. So it's about positioning, trying to break out quick and so on and so on. It's not really hard. Look where he charges. Look where he charges, where he looks, and just try to stay out of his way, and then you don't get pushed into the spikes. So yeah, this is the Quantum AM mechanic, plays similar to Gadgets and Mental. Feels pretty fluid. Damage right now is really good. So yeah, this is that. So this was the second boss, and then the third boss, which has a little twist. And this is also the last boss of the raid. You see, there is cleanse the marker of conflagration at a water bowl. So there are three. Well, you can see. I can see here the water bowl. I'm activating it. And you will see this message pops up in a second again, and then you will see I see no water bowl. Just waiting for it until it happens. So you clearly see why. That has a reason. There you go. Cleanse the blight mark with the blessing of Hades. So, as you can see, I think Felicia was it over there who could see it. Yeah. Not every one of us can see what to interact. This is the interesting part. It is role specific. So sometimes the message pops up but only the healer can see it. Then the message pops up another time and only the DPS can see it, or the controller, or even only the tank, which is interesting, I think. So simple is that the simple thing is that every player has to be aware of what's happening. That every player is looking around for interaction that only their role can do. So if you have some tunnel vision player, they will be less useful than someone who maybe isn't that strong, specifically DPS wise, but actually does the interaction stuff, and this will have more, because if you don't do it, you just wipe. And yeah. Then there is the thing with interacting with consoles next to those doors. You have 4 of those doors that you can interact with. You choose to interact with which door, which will opens the door then and frees up the ads over there. if you do not interact with them, well, then you have to face with the consequences of, I think, all 4 doors go up. Well, we luckily never had the issue, so... And then there's also another thing that happens right here. We had, up to this point, only 1 healer, and had consistently damage floating around in the room. You saw there were like something between 1,000 and 3,000 damage. It's quite annoying. And it was interesting because as soon as Stellanova switched to his healer role, so we had 2 healers, this damage stopped floating around and we had no damage. We are not really sure if there's some kind of mechanic regarding to healer setup, or if we just triggered something that stopped this kind of damage right in this moment. We will have to figure it out, but it would be cool if it encouraged 2 healers and make it a raid easy. We really don't know, so yeah. So you see our tank activated the door and the ads coming out. Later we didn't know that it was door related, so later you will see when the doors activate again, then it will be opened up somewhere. I think one of the controller activates it in the back room, and then the ads coming from the back room inside there. To sum up this boss fight, the boss itself feels pure tank and spam. A lot of ads that the tank has to grab to avoid the group dying. There is each of the member in the raid has to look out in the early stage of the fight for activating stuff. If they don't do, it wipes the group. There is also here the doors, the gates that needs to be kept in check. You want mainly the tank probably to have to activate it. If he has no shield, yeah, it's a little bit tricky because you probably can't. Yeah. But there you see a controller activated in the back room. There's the comment the ads from that killed them phantom happens. Yeah. And that's the whole fight already. Yeah. The fight itself is really easy, but not as easy as Necropolis was in the Halls of Power design-wise, so there is a bit more mechanic attached to it. It's still very pug-friendly, yeah. So that's it. Yeah, I hope you enjoy also the quick first view on Quantum's awesome mechanic, which feels pretty solid. The damage was really good. Yeah. Okay. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.